Okay, I'm going to stop, take any questions. Please go ahead.
Firstly, I want to know, like, why is it this system has such results? Why is it?
If this system of yours, this conscious education, has such incredible results, why is it this hasn't been incorporated into the schooling system and the education system? Because the root is not at the university level. I agree that yes, to become a professional and working in the industry, you do need some form of qualification. But it generally starts off in your primary school, in your grade 1, because it's from grade 1 to grade 12, and that 12 years is basically where it's generally where you can say the corruption is happening with them, because they're not getting value from the education system. But I understand your program offers that, but why don't you have that for primary school and high school? Or maybe you are, I don't know.
Can I use this tape? Yeah.
I just have 2 questions. First one is how many students are enrolled in the university? But also, I just want to know how the message is being conveyed about the university and stuff. How are you marketing it? Because the reality is that in South Africa we have a moria of black people, a moria of poor people who do not have access to internet, access to computers and stuff. I mean, I have access to these things, but I don't know about the university. So how about someone who doesn't have access to these things? How are you marketing it? How many people are enrolled? Thanks.
Thank you.
Good day. I just have a short basic question.
Yes.
Like, if you were able to look into society and identify a particular problem which you can solve, is there a way through which the people you help, your graduates, are also being fed with the same attitude of basically going back into their own communities and also trying to identify needs and other, people who might be of assistance?
Good day, everyone. First, I would like to congratulate you on the work that you're doing. My question is aligned with those guys' question. I'm speaking from my point of view. I'm a girl who grew up in a village, and I knew my only ticket to success was to get distinctions and go to one of the best universities, European universities. And obviously, me being one of the best, I was being favored by the selection process, and there were other people who were good in arts and other things. I need to know, in terms of your footprint, when are you planning to be able to expand this program that you have, going back to places like Limpopo, Northern Cape, all those villages? Because truth is, right now, not that it is bad, but you're speaking to people who are already enlightened. We're already in our career field, and I can say we're already favored. The only challenge now will be to get employment placement, which we still have an opportunity as compared to someone who's at home who got a diploma or a national certificate and they're stuck because the system has told them that you're not good enough, but they have a talent or some better motivation hidden in them. And for example, myself, I'm an engineer, but I've just found out that I'm very good with other things like leadership, innovation, and all those things. And because of where I am, I'm able to explore and look further into what I can better myself and, build my future on. Thank you.
Just one question from my side. When Fees Must Fall was going down, where were you and how did you participate in that?
Okay, just because of time constraints, unfortunately, I think we'll have to stop.
Just stop. Okay.
Just quickly, I just want to question, is it scalable?
Okay.
So can you educate 13 million people on this system?
Brilliant. This volume might be a little bit loud, is it okay? Not too loud. Okay. Firstly, I just want to say you guys are brilliant students because thank you so much for questions, and these are great questions. It's really wonderful to be here and to discuss this together. So, firstly, your question: why isn't this spreading into, firstly, how do we go back to primary schools? Why aren't we starting this from the youngest level, and why isn't it spreading everywhere? So, if things are very innovative, sometimes they just challenge status quo. And it's quite hard to bring change when there's an entrenched system. So I'll just give you an example. Like we've just launched a project with government to put project-based learning into the whole South African school system. Okay, it's something called entrepreneurship in schools. And it's going to be to start to teach kids how to do things in a multidisciplinary way rather than just in a one-dimensional, now I'm doing maths, now I'm doing history, now I'm doing science. All these things are absolutely segregated from each other. There's no relationship, and there's no relationship between what you learn and the real world. But South Africa's got such an exam-based mindset. Okay? So you go into the school system, all people care about is what is the matric results. Everybody's pushing for the country to get to 80% pass mark. Even if you can pass matric and know absolutely nothing and it's absolutely useless, everybody's just obsessed with exams and getting there to like an 80% national matric pass rate. That's not going to change our unemployment crisis, I can tell you. Okay, not at all. The quality of what we're producing out of the education system is so poor, but you can come out, you can get a piece of paper, and so on. So people are obsessed on a certain way of doing things. It's been done like that for 100 years, so we must continue doing like that. So you come with a new approach, people think you're crazy. What happened with Galileo came, and he said that the Earth, that the sun doesn't move around the Earth, and that the Earth's not flat. What happened to him? He was excommunicated, he was a heretic, etc., etc. So just because you're doing something that's great doesn't mean that prevailing opinion accepts it. So it takes years for something to catch on, and especially if it is challenging a status quo way of thinking. So we're so used to education the same old way, and so we just think it must go on like that forever. Okay, even if it's failing in some ways. So what are we doing? We're trying to develop. So firstly, this approach to education is spreading, and it's in many countries in the world now, about 60 countries. Wanting to take it on for the entire system. Like for example in Brazil, they want to implement this in the entire national school system. Okay, in Colombia, in Latin America. There's schools in India, there's schools in America. When I first came across this, I went to this little school in America where it's called the Maharishi School. Maharishi School of the Age of Enlightenment. It's a weird name. Okay? They have no entrance requirements. Anybody can get into the school at grade 8. What they do is, in America, there's nationwide standardized tests. You know, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of a test like a GMAT, if you want to do an MBA, or there's other types of tests. At this school, they write the same national tests that everybody writes to test like how you're doing compared to all Americans. When the students come in, they're just at the 50th percentile. So you're just an average American. So there's 300 million Americans. So if you're 50th percentile, you're at 150 million. You're not that brilliant. Okay? Every single year, for over 20 years now, those kids, by the time they get to grade 12, they're in the top 1 percentile of all Americans on nationwide standardized tests. Now, that is a revolution. You would think every single school in America, this is published research now, and they don't set that test and they don't mark the test. You'd think that every single school in America now would be using this approach to education, because if you can take people from the 50th percentile to the top 1 percentile, who can then go to Harvard and Stanford and everything else, why wouldn't every school do it? Okay? Because people change slowly. But it is spreading, slowly but surely, this approach to education. If you want to come and visit us in Joburg, you're very welcome. Just come and see what we're doing. We're now working on a model, because you asked the question, is this scalable? So if you want to scale anything, you've got to see, can the core methodology scale? Can you do it in a cost-effective way? And you've got to come down the cost curve, because if it's very expensive, if it's going to need R1 billion or 2 billion rand or 5 billion rand to set up every single university, then we could never do it. Okay? So I just want to say this, within a year, we will be 100% self-funding within Joburg, Durban, and Mpumalanga. Okay? Which we're already 85% self-funding. Without a cent from government, students paying only 200 rand a month, we're going to be 100% self-funding without any money from the normal sources, and the students are earning money. Okay? So you have to come and see. None of you asked me how is that possible. So that's why I'm not going to tell you. Okay? You can come and see if you want to see how it's possible. So it is possible and it's happening, but our current cost per year, our actual cost for all tuition, books, materials, food, everything else we're giving the students is currently 25,000 rand per student per year. Where we're going to with our new model, which will still be 10 hours a day, is we think we can get the cost down to about $500 per student per year, which is about 7,500 rand for 10 hours a day and all those things, including food and books and everything. If you want to know how that's possible, you'll have to come and see. Okay, how are we marketing this? We generally don't market it because we don't have enough space for everybody who's out there, and we don't have, we're building up this mechanism of making it self-funding and so on. So if millions of students came to us, we couldn't take them yet. Okay, so that's why we've got to really grow the model, grow the sustainability, and so on. So it's generally word of mouth. So one of the things we do that I think you guys should all do, and maybe you're already doing it or planning to do it, we've got a process called Pay It Forward. And we want to try and talk to government about free education and say, it's fine for government to fund people their education if they don't have the money. But when those people are successful, make it a requirement that they then fund another person, who can be their own brother or sister or cousin and so on. But everybody who gets assistance should assist somebody else. Okay? We call it Pay It Forward, and all of our students have to do this. So every single student we assist in turn must assist another student. And that's the main way we get new students, is through word of mouth, that a graduate who's working brings their brother, their cousin, something like that, and then that person will start with us. Okay? Then you ask the question about, do we get the students to give back in their communities, and how do we reach out in communities? So I was very lucky to meet Nelson Mandela twice, and had 2 very in-depth meetings with him, and he was fascinated by what we were doing, and he really loved what we were doing. And we've got one program where the students do community projects. And through this, we've reached over 600,000 South Africans over the years in schools, through our students going and teaching in their former schools. Okay? And we call it the Extranet, which is the extraordinary network for people who don't have internet. You were saying most people don't have internet, they don't have computers. So we send students back to that village to go and teach, and they're a human internet. Okay? So they just go back and they share knowledge that they've got. And when Mandela heard about this, he actually asked if we could name it after him. We got phoned 3 weeks later after we saw him by his assistant and said he loves that program of youth giving back and rebuilding education. So we called it the Nelson Mandela Extranet. So you were making the point about distinctions. It's the only way. You have to work so hard, get great marks. That's true. And then what happens to everybody else? And that's what we're trying to prove. We're trying to show that everybody's got genius, and everybody's got infinite potential, and if you develop that potential, you can change the world. So we would love to be there for all those guys in your class that never did anything, that are stuck back in the village, doing nothing with their lives, and so on. The only thing is we have to develop this very low-cost model, build our sustainability, and then we're going to be opening in Limpopo and all these other communities to try and give these opportunities. And then you were saying you should go back to younger ages, that the system's not good enough and things like that, that you've got to start at a younger age. It's very true. But it's a matter of resources. You need people, it takes time, and you've got to do what you can. So we can't do everything. So I've said, like, what I want to do in my lifetime is I want to help 100,000 unemployed young people go through university, get great jobs, and to put R1 trillion into the hands of those poor families. But then I hope that our work is going to keep inspiring other people to be doing this at other education levels, to be taking this out to other places, other countries, things like that. Okay? Is this model scalable? Coming back to what you're saying, it's completely scalable because the core methodology, it's all around developing people, and it can be done absolutely anyway because every human being's got a nervous system that can be developed. You can make it very low cost. We can use the internet and package everything, so all the content and the approaches can be packaged, and that's why we think it's very scalable. So we are already, as I say, we're in various provinces in the country, but when we get it to this ultra low cost model, then it can start to really scale quickly. Okay? And then how do we participate in Fees Must Fall? So it's interesting because all these years that we've been offering free education, government hasn't liked us. Even though we do a lot of work with government in the Department of Basic Education, sometimes student groups have said, how can they do free education but government can't do free education? And they don't even get any money from government. So sometimes we've been held up as an example and it's not been seen in a favorable light. But I got to talk to a number of university registrars, academics, funding people down in KZN, Gauteng, etc., while Fees Must Fall has been going on. So one of the things that I've helped to create is something called the Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education. And what it is, EDHE, is it's a movement that we're trying to create in all universities in the country where the universities can learn how to become self-funding. Because all the universities are underfunded. They all want more money. Okay? So if universities develop more businesses and learn how to become more economically sustainable, then they'll be able to generate their own money. So that's one of the things I've been involved in. But guys, we must stop. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I must say you're amazing students, so it was wonderful.